Welcome to the Real Boardloft. I'm Trip Forman. This is Matt Biolos from Lost Surfboards, The Mayhem, and we have today, we're going to talk about the Lost Smooth Operator. Matt, let's talk about Smooth Operator.
Well, cue up Sade, for one thing. Sade, that's how you pronounce it?
Either Sardine?
Sade, the singer,
Cardone?
Smooth operator.
Oh, yeah.
No need to ask, he's a smooth operator.
Okay.
Sade. Yeah. Cue up Sade. Anyways, the smooth operator.
Is that where the name came from?
No.
Where did the name come from?
I just came up with it. It's like a smooth, glidey, mid-length, It's called the smooth operator. It's just a, tongue-in-cheek word. I grew up in the 80s, and that was a huge hit for that chick.
So it kind of did come from that song, didn't it? It's okay if it did.
For legal reasons.
I think I got
I know that you're going to get a cease and desist or something? That you're not allowed to call it the smooth
My
operator
wife
anymore?
will kill me, but I think I might have gotten married to this song or some other song by her. Yeah, mid-length mayhem. Yeah. So this is my second foray into mid-length surfboard design. This one's a little more of the stylistic nature. We start out with the Crowd Killer, which is basically an elongated quiver killer. Mm-hmm. It's a modern rocker with concave effectively from nose to tail, plenty of rocker, kick nose, kick tail, concave. This is more of a throwback, of a time period piece, updated and fine-tuned for the modern times. Once again, I was initially influenced by riding some mid-lengths from my friend Tyler Warren. We do these little things. He'll make me one of his funky boards, and I'll make him a performance shortboard, and we have fun. And I rode the one he made me, and I loved it. And I'm like, okay, well, how can I make one better, at least better for me? And I went to work, and this board here is based more off of a lot of forward momentum and glide. I don't try to make it really light. Mm-hmm. It's more like an inertia momentum board. It's got a really, really low rocker, especially the entry.
Right.
And then, but the thing I found is with a super low entry and a lot of weight, in a forward outline, mm-hmm. you could get away by bending the tail up quite a bit. So this board has a lot of rocker in the tail if you measure mm-hmm. it. But from 1/3 from the tail forward, it's extremely flat. And the tail bends, and it also has V. The whole back half of the board is V, and the V panels kind of cut through the exaggerated tail rocker and smooth it out. So the line from here to here is kind of straight, and then the arc is all in the stringer, kind of the opposite of a concave board, where the stringer cuts straight through an arced rail rocker.
Okay.
And it kind of leans back and forth, and it carves, and it glides, and it cuts through sloppy chop, or big wave residue, like bigger days, or blown out little small waves, and it just cuts right through it like butter. And it's got the weight of a classic glass job. We do all of them with cut laps, primarily with tints, full tail patches, hard edges in the back third of the board, down rails, but tuck soft. There's soft down rails so the board still slides up and down the face. And it's got enough tail rocker that no matter how low and how fast and how much forward momentum, you can still use body English and spread your wings and turn this thing and cut it back and down carve and up and glide and even hit, start to hit the lip and do floaters and stuff. It paddles amazing. It's not the kind of board where you just turn around and sink the tail and take 2 strokes and jump up. It paddles from out the back and it glides into a wave. You build your momentum. You sit farther out and glide in and jump up early and fade and swoop a bottom turn, and it's a lot of fun. It's a whole nother vibe. And I've been shaping surfboards since 1987. I've never had a job except shaping surfboards, and I'm 50 years old, and I feel like all these years I was the punk guy, but I feel like right now I can do whatever I want. And if I believe in it and I love it and I think it's a beautiful board that's fun to ride and it'll mm-hmm. appeal to people like me, then so be it.
So 2 trips that you recently went on. You went on that El Salvador trip, mm-hmm. and then you went on the Telos trip.
Yeah.
Indo. Tell us about those 2 trips in the sport.
In April, I went to El Salvador. It was supposed to be preseason with
mm-hmm.
Corey Lopez and our families, and it was supposed to be a Grom trip. And we stumbled onto bombing double overhead Punta Rocas. We had bad winds because of spring, so we were only surfing for an hour or two in the morning. And 5 weeks before that, I broke my tibia, the long, skinny bone on the outside of your leg, and there's not much you can do for that. I just hope it heals. So I was really out of surf shape. I'd been snowboarding all winter. I capped off my snowboard season with a cracked tibia. And so I just grabbed a 6'10" smooth operator and went to El Salvador. And I figured, I'm going to be surfing 1 to 2 foot, 3 foot maybe with my kids. It's all about getting our kids in the water and surfing. And we had this bombing swell, and there I am at bombing double overhead, ceiling high to double overhead, rifling Punta Rocas. And I pull out my 6'10" smooth operator. I had it set up with a split keel from FCS, split keel quad, and had an amazing session. And my I had all this atrophy in my back leg. I didn't have a lot of strength. My calf was shrunken. I was off balance. I'd been snowboarding all winter, and then boom, didn't do anything for over a month, and had a blast. And I was just catching waves out the back, finishing my rides up and down, big bottom turns, domesticated maneuvers, whatever, and just had a blast. Fast forward about 5 months later, we went on this Indo trip, and I went with my friend Colin McPhillips, who's a former 3-time world longboard champion and just an incredible board rider, all-around guy, whether it's fish, 7.0 mid-lengths, 9.0 longboards, SUPs, he even foils for you foil boys. He's just really good. He's a waterman, okay? He's like a 40,
he rides it all.
Yeah. And we took a bunch of these, and he rode the 6'10" stock dims almost every session, unless I took it from him and made him ride the Crowd Killer 7.2, and we just swapped back and forth. And the surfing he was doing on it was just really, really high-level mid-length surfing, and I had a time of my life on it as well. So they really work good when the waves get good, and they're really easy to catch waves and glide and ride in sloppy, nothing surf as well.
What was he riding as far as a fin setup? Because there's a lot of different options with the 4+1.
Colin was riding as a 2+1. He was riding it with a big twin fins and a rear stabilizer. And that's been a fin setup that he's been using the last few years with most of his mid-lengths and fish. And he kind of turned me onto that. I'm like, he goes, what do you set it up as? I go, I ride split keels. And I said, a lot of the guys are riding single fins with little, like Dave Parmenter style Widowmaker setups. And he's like, oh, I'm going to use it as a twin. The twin will keep it loose. I'm like, I don't know if you need to use it as a twin. It's got a lot of tail rocker. Those mid-lengths you've been riding from other guys, they're really flat,
Right.
He goes, no, twin fin. And he just went out and ripped. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to argue. And he's like, we're a similar body, but I'm significantly softer and lower skilled, and I just went with followed his lead and rode it as a twin stabilizer. I didn't really design it as a twin with stabilizer. I was thinking quad.
Right.
And the single fin with side bites is really fun if you just kind of want to point and glide and enjoy the ride. And the quad, you can kind of jam it and pump it. And the twin fin's just even looser and more playful. I say it shortens the board, shortens it by 6 inches.
That was, like you talked about the tail rocker in the board and like having it, have more tail rocker than any other mid-length out there. And I would definitely agree. Like the very first wave I rode this thing on, was so small that I didn't even think I'd be able to go on it. Yet I could pump the board, get it going, and do like a full wrap, like back into the pocket on it.
I surfed last October. I took an early one before we released it to France and Spain during the Quickie Pro, and I had my 12-year-old daughter ride her with me, who rides fun boards, mid lengths, whatever, long boards she liked, and I had the guys in Spain make me a 6'10" stock, and I ended up riding that thing at those funny little reefs in southern France, like Guittery and Saint-Jean-de-Luz, and these cool little soft reef breaks down there, and had a blast. And I had that same sensation where you take off on a stomach high wave, and because of the tail rocker, you're like wee, and woo, and wrap and carve.
Right.
And I made my daughter a 6'6" stock, and she absolutely loved it. And that's kind of one of her go-to boards, little baby.
So when you're looking at these boards, like on your website or our website or in the store, like the first time, and you look at like this board versus the Crowd Killer round, like a lot of times, like we get the question, like which one should I get, between those two. So like, what are your recommendations? Like if somebody's looking at these two, like what are the questions you're going to ask that person for the deciding factor?
Okay, if you're looking to foray into like mid lengths, I would say the Crowd Killer is kind of a baby steps.
Okay.
You know, it's a modern bottom, modern rocker. It's got plenty of nose rocker, plenty of tail rockers. It's got essentially concave from nose to tail with a double concave through the fins.
Right.
We make them light. It's got Performance glassing. It's got, you know, carbon fiber tail patch, kind of white, light, and on top of the water. It's a modern board. It's basically a quiver killer stretched out and the rocker extends.
Okay.
So it's kind of a baby step into the mid-length genre. It's closer to like maybe your 6'2" quiver killer.
Okay.
Or in that kind of a sense. Where the smooth operator, it's definitely for a guy who's, well, outside of the obvious difference in aesthetic,
All right.
where it's got like minimalistic logoing and it looks like a cool T-shirt that we might have designed. Minimalistic logoing. It's got resin tints, you know, that we've been doing for a decade or so since we brought the French guys over. You know, colored panels, heavier glass. It's got a tapered stringer that starts out at almost a 1/4 inch and ends up almost at 0, which gives you more flex in the tail and more drive in the nose,
Okay.
more forward momentum, paddling and gliding. Aside from that, it's just more of like a true mid-length based off of older principles. Super low rocker, down rails, you know, V, there's almost no concave, just a touch, maybe right in the center. Rolled bottom in the nose, the slightest of concave under the feet, you know, through the center, and deep V panel, double concave through the tail. It's a flatter entry. And for a guy who's going from riding 6.0, 6.2, 6.4s
Right.
to his first mid-length, it might feel kind of tracky and kind of heavy, and it takes a different kind of mindset to turn it
Okay.
and get used to it. So, but if you're already riding this genre and say you're riding them from other people, or you're coming down from a big clunky, you know,
Longboard or
fun
something?
board or longboard, or,
Right, right.
you know, this is a beautiful, beautiful, fun, classy board.
So would you say the Crowd Killer's like more pocket based, like more like shortboard hybrid style based?
Yeah,
And this one's more
it's like a big
more
stretched out-
momentum based.
More momentum, inertia. This is more pump and turn and jam it. But it's also, but that said, I would say if you're a low-level guy, this is more of like an easier board to ride. You know, it's more forgiving.
Okay.
It's more playful.
Okay.
It's this is a specialized vehicle, but I mean, this thing's in the underground scene. It's become really popular really fast.
Right. Right.
You know, it's nice, and there's a modern aesthetic to surfboards where, you know, clean and nice and
Yeah, it's got a way different look.
Yeah.
I mean, and the entire package is completely different than
the
Crowd
leash
Killer.
hole. It has a lot of things that were happening when I started building boards, and I wanted to bring back.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
cool.
Well, that's a little bit of backstory
Yeah.
about the song and the band and Matt's band and the Smooth Operator. So thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions on the Smooth Operator or you'd like to place an order, you can give us a call.
Don't call me.
We're not giving out his number. realwatersports.com/surfing, or if you want to use a classic phone, you know, maybe a red phone, princess phone, phone with a cord, bag phone, iPhone, that's 252-987-6000. Thanks for tuning in.